You're putting the whole neighborhood in danger." That's what she screamed right before they locked down my driveway. Can you imagine? 3 goons in knockoff safety vests showing up unannounced, acting like my patch of land was theirs to commandeer for some bogus safety exercise. My pulse was racing, not from panic, but from the audacity of these strangers flashing flimsy papers that screamed homemade forgery, talking tough like they were straight out of a low-budget thriller. All the while, I stood there thinking, this is my retreat, my sanctuary, and they're the ones crashing the party. What would you have barked back at them in that moment? It all kicked off on a crisp Friday morning. I had my local township map unrolled on the dining table, double-checking the edges after fixing the fence the week before. My cabin's perched exactly 300 yards beyond the Oak Ridge HOA limits, on township land I snagged years ago to dodge all that suburban drama. Smart call. Or so I figured, until heavy footsteps thudded up my porch stairs. 3 men in glaring yellow vests barged in like they owned the dirt under my feet. The backs read, HOA Enforcement, in sloppy block letters funny, since I'd never heard of this HOA having muscle like that. The ringleader was a burly guy in his late 40s, gut hanging over his belt, strutting with that fake bravado a cheap badge buys you. He pounded on the door like he was raiding the place. "Good morning, sir. We're running required disaster readiness checks in this zone. Gotta scan your setup for any red flags." I cracked the door just enough, eyeing his warped badge, Guardian misspelled without the, and the expiration date scratched off like with a pocket knife. Real slick. "Sorry, but this spot's outside your HOA turf. Township property. See those red stakes?" I gestured to the iron markers with bright flags staking my claim. He chuckled like I'd cracked a joke. "Sir, risk management rules extend buffer zones during storm season. We've got clearance to vet any site in the response radius." That reeked of pure invention, but I humored him to sniff out the game. "Fine. Flash me the policy docs that cover township ground." He rifled through his binder and yanked out a glossy page that looked fresh from an inkjet printer. Header blared, Secure Zone 75 Disaster Guidelines, packed with jargon about readiness areas and mandates. Trouble was, zero mention of township rights or power beyond HOA lines. As he stalled, his sidekicks slinked to my side gate, slapping on some plastic lock with a label, Crisis Entry Point Do Not Tamper. My blood heated up. "Hey, what's going on over there?" The stocky one tried to shield the view. "Routine hazard tag. Sir. Just flagging cleared spots." I shoved past for a closer look. Feed zipped a neon band through the latch. Now I was fuming. "Take that off now. This is my land. You've got no say." The boss's smile faded. "Sir, you're blocking vital disaster ops. Better play ball." "Vital ops? My ass." I whipped out my phone, pulling up the Township GIS app with pinpoint borders. "Check this. Your HOA stops at that ridge. From here to the stream. Off limits. You're intruders." He barely glanced. "Crisis rules trump lines. Sir, we're on the clock." That's when it hit me these guys were either clueless or dead set on ignoring the law. I ducked inside for my official township deed, stamped and sealed. "Here's the real deal. Your reach ends 300 yards back." He skimmed it dismissively. "Gonna need compliance. Or we bump this up." Bump to who? The HOA couldn't touch township dirt, and local cops would boot them laughing unless there was a twist I missed. Time to call their bluff. Cool. Let's ring the township sheriff and hash it out. I started dialing 911. Panic flashed in his eyes. He waved off his crew. "No need for that. Sir. Just keeping folks safe." Safety doesn't mean tagging private spots without a warrant. I held the phone ready. They huddled, whispering furiously, then switched tactics. The boss puffed up. We'll log this resistance with the right channels. Your place could get zoned for forced access without buy-in. Forced access to what? My cabin's a half-mile from the nearest house. Dead-end path leading nowhere. But curiosity gnawed what channels. He mumbled about a disaster oversight panel tying into agencies. Vague as hell. I'd had enough. You've got 60 seconds to yank that lock and scram. Then I'm calling for trespass. He tried one last jab. This mindset's why we drill stubborn folks in danger, everyone. I nearly snorted. Stubborn against phony enforcers with botched badges. They packed up dramatically, but left the lock dangling. Tag stays till cleared. He yelled back. As they vanished down the dirt track, I caught radio static. Unit 5 here. Resident non-coop. Push to stage 2 measures. Stages. These jokers had a playbook for bullying holdouts. Real pros have licenses and bonds. Legit responders link to government. These had neither. But the setup screamed organization. Someone was pulling strings. Confident enough to slap tags and vow escalation. That mangled badge and bogus claim sealed the township officials needed the full rundown. I snapped pics of the lock. Stakes. Indeed. If they wanted to flex fake power, I'd build a rock-solid trail of their overreach. But deep down, I sensed this was round one. Come Saturday, my neighbor Emily Carter dropped Bish, a bookkeeper who shreds contracts for a living and had caught wind of the fiasco. Those creeps at your door. Something's off, she said, plunking her laptop down. She dug into HOA filings and vendor deals. Wanna see? The screen lit up with a pact from 6 months back between Oak Ridge HOA and Community Vigilance Partners LLC for risk advising and crisis training. No word on patrols or checks. Scope locked to HOA grounds only. Liability shield kicks in just if they stick to bounds. She noted. Fake logs. No coverage. Another tab, State Guard Registry. Searched Vigilance Partners zip. Even tried HOA enforcement variants. Nada. Unlicensed or straight-up fraud. Here's the kicker. Emily grinned. Flipping tabs. That's Secure Zone 75. Real program for HOA crisis prep. But only on their turf. Insurer bars non-member land. Guidelines flashed, discounts for drills. But HOA only with member nods. I leaned back, piecing it. So they're hijacking a legit scheme to bully outsiders. She nodded, pulling board notes. 3 months ago, Victoria Hayes crisis oversight lead pushed boundary stretches. Passed, but with obey township laws. Grab permits caveat. Permits. Check township planning no dice. They don't greenlight that. HOAs can't force outsiders. More tabs, vendor logs for insurer discounts. Must show consent. Faking it. Insurance scam. A shiver hit. This wasn't petty trespass likely cooking books for cash. Emily mapped assessor data, 15 township parcels near HOA edges. If they're tagging all, it's a full-on invasion. What felt like a solo hassle bloomed into a calculated push. We gotta rally the others, I said. Pattern means complaint stack. Emily jotted contacts. Sheriff 2. And that stage 2 radio bit. Contract hints at stepped enforcement for resistors. Stepped how? Vague terms like intensified measures screamed wiggle room for nastiness. She bundled our proof, limited contract. No licenses. Program exclusions. No permits. Board oversteps. If they circle back, slam in with this. But I bet they wouldn't quit cold. Sunday night. Around midnight. Engine hums yanked me awake. Peering out, flashlight beams danced across my yard. 4 SUVs parked. 8 figures with gear bags slinking around. Quiet, but not stealthy. I hit record from upstairs. These fools were running a shadow op. Window cracked. I caught comms. HQ. Scout team. Site empty. Starting border sweep. Site. Like my home was a war zone. Roger. Scout. Map entries and weak spots. Need full layout for morning push. Push sounded aggressive for drills. I watched them string hazard tape over my drive. Planting signs. Crisis area restricted. Redrawing lines on a whim. I phoned my cousin Mike. Ex-military with 25 years under his belt. Radio whiz. Mike. Grab your frequency scanner. Need proof of shady signals. He perked up. What kind of chatter? I spilled while eyeing the crew survey my sheds. Snap pics. Pro blocks. Like unlicensed ops. On my way 20 minutes. As I filmed, their talk ramped. Perimeter shows gaps. Suggest hard compliance. Response barked authority. Approved. Roll stage 3 at first light. Radio dark till then. Stage 3 already. Mike slipped in via woods. Gear in tow. Let's ID channels. Quick scan. Restricted bands fed violation. Worse, military spec encryption. Civvies can't touch this. FCC hammers hard. By 1A. M. They rapped. But not before snipping their own lock and swiping fence tags erasing tracks. Mike tracked. Theft on top. Withdrawal chatter. Scout done. Site charted. Push team prepped for enhanced rollout. Enhanced. Blackout for an HOA gig. Post-op. Mike's logs nailed for FCC breaks. Wrong frex. Jams. No IDs. Unauthorized crypto. Gear. Restricted mil tech. National security flag. He said. We prepped Fed report scams crimes trumped local beef. Monday. Neighbors hit my door. Susan. George. Anna fuming with files. Heard about your run-in. They've hit us too. Susan played audio of threats over her barn. Demanded pasture check. Said I risked lives. George. Retired fireman. Workshop safety scan. I've fought blazes 35 years. Anna. Tagged my kids' play area as evac hub. Got nasty when I questioned. We pulled proof. Fake cards. Bills from Victoria Hayes as oversight chief. Bogus citations. Invoices threatened. Crisis penalty action. Pure fiction. No such township rule. Called a card number woman pitched. Coup for rate cuts via secure zone. Hung when pressed on outsiders. Confirmed scam. Susan noted. Escalation for holdout stage 2 docs and notices. George had one. Fine threat for refusal. We met at the township hall 22 folks from 17 parcels. Stories matched. Tags. Intimidation. Extortion via priority in real crises. An old couple shared. Said responders might skip non-coops and evacs. Pure coercion. Vowed joint complaints. Fed probes. Tuesday dawned ugly. Anna called frantic. Towns papered with posters calling you a menace. Grocery board. I raced in flyer with my name. Cabin pic. Hazardous holdout endangers lives in red. Painted me as extremist sabotaging kid/elder safety. Bottom. Report to Oak Ridge Crisis Board. Ripped it down. Copy shop clerk recalled. Lady paid cash for $600. Neighborhood alert. Spotted more at PO. Stores. Cars even schools warning of anti-safety families. Calls flooded from neighbors. Emily Doug. HOA clawed premium cuts via fake drills needed our participation or face clawbacks. Victoria staked her rep on savings. Exposure meant ruin. George, they're smearing to fire debt claimed you threaten responders. Susan, calling jobs. Banks labeling us radicals. Anna found kid-targeted flyers. Opposers risk students. Weaponizing safety. Emily's audit. Clawback clause repay reductions plus fines. Victoria signed off. Personal hit. By night. Circulars in mailboxes. Employer threats economic hits to crush resistance. Desperation peaked. Theft masked as prep. Wednesday. Mike and sis Laura roared up on bikescoms pros with mill backgrounds. Show us. Laura said. Unpacking mics. Cams. Trackers. Will nail and military style. At 9 a.m. 5 vehicles. 10 vested thugs rolled in with speakers. Alert. Site under mandatory crisis audit. Shelter in place. Laura filmed from cover. Mike scanned. Jamming emergency bans fed felony. I confronted. All under watch. They faltered. Community streamed Live Susan. George. Anna filming. Virality hit. Shares exploded. Experts chimed. Fake ops. Restricted gear. Panic radio. Crowd recording abort. They fled as outrage swelled. Proof. Mismatched badges. Jams. Fraud. Thursday. FCC agents knocked. Specialists and signals. Reviewing Mike's Data 6 violations. Tied to fraud. Emily's bombshell. Victoria's shell firm siphoned $60,000 via bogus bills. Fake reports. Fraud spanned 5 HOAs $250K total. Mill gear breaches flagged security. Racketeering loomed. Friday. Raids. Victoria Hayes. Derek Sloan cuffed for fraud. Comms crimes. Laundering. Seized docks. Embezzlement for luxuries. Please, 10 to 15 years. Restitution. HOA's got funds back. Bans on fake ops. Township tightened HOA reins. Fall settled, peaceful boundaries respected. Trust rebuilt. Fake tags gone. Real lessons stuck. Question power. Document. Unite. Feels victorious exposing their con. What if HOAs had unchecked power fair or tyranny? Would you fight or fold? Ever faced fake authority? Spill in comments. Smash like if it fired you up. Subscribe for more real-life twists.